The history of the Gorkha Regiment begins with the Anglo-Nepalese War, 1814 to 1816, a significant conflict between the British East India Company and the Kingdom of Nepal. The Gorkhas, who were part of the Nepalese forces, fought with such valor and resilience that they earned the admiration of their British adversaries. Despite the British victory in the war, the British East India Company was so impressed with the martial prowess of the Gorkhas that they sought to recruit them into their own forces. The Anglo-Nepalese War, also known as the Gurkha War, was a significant conflict fought between the British East India Company and the Kingdom of Nepal from 1814 to 1816. The war was primarily a result of territorial disputes and the expansionist policies of both the British and the Nepalese. By the early 19th century, the Kingdom of Nepal, under the leadership of the Gorkha rulers, had expanded its territory significantly. The Gorkhas, originally from the Gorkha district of Nepal, had unified several smaller kingdoms and extended their control over vast areas, including parts of present-day India, such as Sikkim, Kumaon, Garhwal, and Himachal Pradesh. This expansion brought the Gorkhas into direct conflict with the British, who were also expanding their influence in the region. The immediate cause of the war was a series of border disputes between the British and Nepalese forces. The Gorkhas had occupied territories that the British considered part of their dominion, leading to a series of skirmishes. Diplomatic efforts to resolve the disputes failed, and in November 1814, the British East India Company declared war on Nepal. The Anglo-Nepalese War was fought across a rugged and mountainous terrain, with both sides facing significant challenges. The British forces were led by Major General Robert Rollo Gillespie, while the Nepalese were commanded by Amar Singh Thapa, a veteran military leader known for his bravery and strategic acumen. The British initially underestimated the Nepalese forces, leading to several defeats. The Gorkhas, familiar with the mountainous terrain, employed guerrilla tactics that proved highly effective against the British. One of the most notable battles was the Battle of Nalapani, where a small Gorkha force under Balbhadra Kunwar fiercely defended a fort against a much larger British contingent. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Gorkhas held the fort for several weeks before eventually retreating with honor. After suffering several setbacks, the British regrouped and launched a more coordinated offensive in 1815. They brought in additional troops and better artillery, allowing them to capture several strategic positions. The British forces, under General David Auchterlonie, adopted a more systematic approach, laying siege to key forts and cutting off supply lines. The Gorkhas continued to fight valiantly, but were gradually pushed back. By 1816, the war had reached a stalemate, with both sides exhausted. The British, recognizing the difficulty of completely subjugating the Gorkhas in their mountainous strongholds, sought a diplomatic solution. Negotiations between the British and the Nepalese led to the signing of the Treaty of Sugauli in December 1815, which was ratified in March 1816. Under the terms of the treaty, Nepal ceded significant territories to the British, including Kumaon, Garhwal, and Sikkim. The Mechi River became the eastern boundary of Nepal, and the Mahakali River, known as the Sarju River at the time, was established as the western boundary. The treaty also allowed the British to recruit Gorkhas into their army, leading to the formation of the Gorkha regiments that would become renowned for their martial prowess. The war marked the beginning of a unique relationship between the British and the Gorkhas. Despite the conflict, the British came to respect the Gorkhas' bravery and fighting abilities. The recruitment of Gorkhas into the British Indian Army began shortly after the war, leading to the establishment of the Gorkha regiments that would go on to serve with distinction in various British campaigns around the world. The Treaty of Sugauli resulted in significant territorial losses for Nepal, reducing its size and influence in the region. However, Nepal retained its independence and remained a sovereign state, which was a rare outcome for a nation that had fought the British. The British learned valuable lessons from the war, particularly about the challenges of fighting in mountainous terrain and the importance of respecting local military traditions. These lessons would inform British military strategy in future conflicts in the region. The Anglo-Nepalese War remains a significant chapter in the history of South Asia, not only for its impact on British and Nepalese relations, but also for the legacy of the Gorkha soldiers who continue to be celebrated for their courage and loyalty. Over time, the British established several Gorkha regiments, recognizing their effectiveness in battle. By the end of the 19th century, there were 10 Gorkha regiments, each playing a significant role in British military campaigns across the world. The Gorkhas served in various conflicts, including the Indian Rebellion of 1857, where they remained loyal to the British Crown, earning them further trust and respect. During the First World War, 1914 to 1918, the Gorkhas were deployed in several theaters of war, including France, Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, Gallipoli, and Palestine. Their bravery in these campaigns further solidified their reputation as elite soldiers.